Make sure to clean everything up. Stan said this as he left, while I was having coffee with Mia. What was that attitude? It's okay. No, it's not. Mia was angry on my behalf, as I had gotten used to Stan's behavior. She even offered to help me clean. His room is such a mess. Stan's room was in complete disarray. We chatted as we tidied up. Then Mia reached for a particular spot. Oh, not there. I tried to stop Mia from opening the drawer. But she reacted before I could. Hey, what's this? What happened? No way. Seeing the photo in Mia's hand, I was speechless. A happy family photo and a completed divorce petition. That was when I finally realized. Mia, will you help me? Of course. With a strong ally by my side, I started preparing for the battle. First, disposal. With that in mind, I rolled up my sleeves. My name is Sadie. I'm a 35-year-old housewife. I've been married for 5 years, but we have no children. Despite that, I had been living a peaceful and happy life with my husband, Stan. We met through a mutual acquaintance, essentially an arranged marriage. Both of us had just broken up with previous partners and were tired of passionate love. Stan and I shared similar values, but I didn't feel the same excitement I had with my ex. However, being at the right age for marriage, I decided to marry Stan, thinking it was fate. Stan felt the same way, so we never discussed it. Since we shared the same values, we divided household chores and habits without major issues. I did the housework, and Stan worked. While others around us talked about their love marriages, I could always honestly say, I'm happy because our married life was smooth. However, this peaceful life suddenly changed. It happened when Stan, who rarely drank, came home drunk. I greeted him at the door at 3 a.m. Welcome back, you're late. It should have been our usual exchange, but Stan was different that day. Shut up. I come home whenever I want. What? As I was bewildered, Stan, with his alcohol-smelling breath, started using harsh words. Marrying you was just to have someone do the housework. Don't interfere. You're just a maid. No way. I was stunned by Stan's true feelings. Though our marriage lacked romance, I loved Stan and thought he loved me too. I should have married a younger wife to show off more. That's terrible. Terrible? I feel the same way. Stan spat out these words, then went to his study and started snoring on the makeshift bed. I stood in the entryway, listening to Stan's voice, and cried. My marriage had been an illusion. From now on, it would only be painful. I thought that, but the next morning, Stan was his usual self. Good morning. What time did I get home last night? They made me drink so much. What? Is something wrong? Oh, no. Good morning. I was confused by Stan talking to me as if nothing had happened. Seeing my confusion, Stan kept talking to me, concerned. What's wrong with you today? Nothing, really. Don't say nothing. We're married, so you can tell me anything. Then, let me tell you. Unable to hold back, I told Stan about last night. Stan's expression gradually turned blank. The moment I finished, Stan's attitude changed completely. So, you found out, huh? That's terrible. You married me for my conditions too, didn't you? I married you because we shared values. Yeah, save it. Stan cut me off and plopped down into a chair. He started ordering me around. Food. Hurry up. Food. Who do you think pays for your living? Do your job, maid. I felt scared of Stan, who had completely changed his attitude. After that, Stan began treating me entirely like a maid. Hey, food. Stan stopped calling me by my name. At first, I was sad, but soon, I became numb. Hey, is the bath ready? Oh, it's ready. Then say so quickly, you're so slow. I'm sorry. Eventually, I started talking politely with Stan, and he accepted it as normal. A few months passed like this, and one day, during dinner, Stan spoke up. I'm going on a business trip for a month starting tomorrow. Get everything ready. A business trip? You got a problem with that? No, understood. Stan worked as a government employee. I wondered if he really had business trips. I found it strange but didn't have the courage to question him as he complained about the food. That night, while preparing for his trip, Stan went to sleep at his usual time. How did it come to this? I cried alone. Don't slack off on the housework. Yes. Without even a goodbye, Stan left with those words. I replied and saw him off. The moment I was alone, all the strength drained from my body. A whole month by myself. I felt genuinely happy to be free from the tense atmosphere for a while. At the same time, I felt a bit down, thinking about living this way for years to come. Well, there's no use worrying. I just have to enjoy this month. I said this aloud to lift my spirits. I used my savings to go out for meals with friends, read books leisurely, and enjoy my time alone. During this period, I also thought a lot about the future and decided to move towards divorce. First, I needed to find a job. However, Stan wouldn't like me working. After considering various options, I decided to try part-time clerical work from home. Before getting married, I had worked as an office worker, so I was comfortable with computers. Gradually, I took on more projects and increased my income. Just as I was getting used to this new lifestyle, Stan came back after a month. Did you keep up with the housework? Yes. Let me see. Even though it had been a while, Stan looked at me with disdain. Of course, there were no souvenirs. I didn't even feel like complaining about it. Well, I guess it's passable. Stan looked around the house and said that. I felt my emotions numbing again. As long as Stan was here, I was a robot without feelings. I had to get divorced, I thought again. After that, Stan frequently went on long business trips. Each time, I had to pack and unpack his things. The only relief was that the hotel Stan stayed at did his laundry, so he came back with hardly any dirty clothes. However, I couldn't stand the cloyingly sweet scent of the fabric softener on his clothes. I can't count how many times I choked on that smell. But complaining to Stan would only make him angry. So I wore a mask each time I put his clothes away in the dresser. One day, his sister Mia visited us. Unlike me, Mia is very active, and since we're the same age, we've been close since I got married, meeting up sometimes. I served Mia some cake and coffee and sat down with her. When she took a bite, she smiled. Your cake is always so delicious. Stan is a lucky guy. Is that so? What's wrong? Did something happen? No, nothing at all. When I forced a smile, Mia looked at me suspiciously. I offered her another piece of cake to change the subject. What about you, Mia? How are things? Oh, listen to this. He left his socks lying around again. That's kind of cute. Not cute at all. The guy Mia was talking about was her husband who was married recently. Apparently, they had known each other for a long time, and her husband, who is 10 years younger, had pursued her for 10 years before they got married. At first, Mia treated him like a kid, but after 10 years of his persistence, she finally gave in, and now, despite her complaints, they live happily together. I was very envious of Mia and her husband. Hey. Are you done yet? Oh, it's ready. You're so slow. I'm sorry. Stan didn't seem to notice Mia was here. We never communicated, so I didn't tell him she was coming. It was understandable, but Mia's eyes widened at Stan's attitude. Stan didn't even show his face in the living room. He just headed for the door. Make sure to clean everything up. Stan said this as he left while I was having coffee with Mia. What was that attitude? It's okay. No, it's not. Mia was angry on my behalf, as I had gotten used to Stan's behavior. She even offered to help me clean. His room is such a mess. Stan's room was in complete disarray. We chatted as we tidied up. Then Mia reached for a particular spot. Oh, not there. I tried to stop Mia from opening the drawer. But she reacted before I could. Hey, what's this? Huh? What happened? No way. Seeing the photo in Mia's hand, I was speechless. A happy family photo and a completed divorce petition. That was when I finally realized. Mia, will you help me? Of course. With a strong ally by my side, I started preparing for the battle. First, disposal. With that in mind, I rolled up my sleeves. Mia and I packed Stan's things into garbage bags. We kept anything that could serve as evidence, like his planner, photos, and letters. In all the photos, Stan had the kind smile he wore when we first got married. I collected these things without emotion, but Mia reacted to each one, getting angrier every time. Hey, let's go to the court right now. Yes, let's do that. I smiled mischievously at Mia's suggestion. Stan told me, clean everything up. So, let's clean up this relationship too. I packed some essential items, threw away all of Stan's belongings, and headed to the court in Mia's car. We filed for a divorce petition and then went to Mia's house. Sadie. Sorry for intruding. Mia's husband, Keith, was initially very surprised, but after hearing the situation from Mia, he was even angrier than she was. For someone who had loved one person for over 10 years, what Stan did was unforgivable. Sadie, you can stay here as long as you need to. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I also expressed my gratitude to Mia, but she apologized instead. However, Mia was not at fault at all. On the contrary, she found the evidence and even offered me a place to stay. I felt nothing but gratitude towards Mia. Stan said he was going on a week-long business trip starting today. He wouldn't contact me during that time, so he would only realize I had left a week later. He won't get away with this. He'll regret it. That's the spirit. Keith and I will help you. Mia, Keith. Thank you so much. Thanks to Mia, I was full of energy and determination. I slept soundly that night, and the next day I started looking for a lawyer. At the same time, I was looking for a new place to live, and Mia's acquaintance offered me a room at a very low rent. Gratefully, I decided to use that room as my base and continued my search for a lawyer. The first, second, and third lawyers were all disappointments, and I was getting tired. But the fourth lawyer turned out to be amazing. Let's work together. Yes. Thank you so much. The lawyer's name was Tyler, a very pleasant man. At first, I was disappointed, thinking he might be another miss, but appearances can be deceiving. He handled everything efficiently, from fact-checking to planning, making everything I wanted possible. After discussing with Tyler, we sent a certified letter to the person Stan was having an affair with. We left Stan's letter on the living room table. 3 days later, I got a call from Stan. Hey. What's the meaning of this? As soon as I answered, I heard Stan's angry voice. I responded calmly. It's a certified letter. Why am I being charged $50,000 in alimony? Exactly as it says. You're impossible to talk to. Stan complained to me, irritated. And continued to rage. Who paid for this? I did. What? With my money? No, with mine. Sure, Stan had been covering the living expenses, but my income had already become sufficient to support myself. I paid for the lawyer with my own money, including my savings. However, no matter how much I explained, Stan refused to believe me. You're a useless woman. Just do the housework, and I'll take care of you. Come back now. He underestimated me that much. A deep anger began to rise inside from my heart. I directed all my anger at Stan. You're the one who can't live without me. I have enough income to support myself. You are unnecessary in my life. You. If you would just listen. Just as Stan was about to come back at me, a doorbell rang on the other end of the phone. I smiled at the sound. Looks like someone is there. Damn, who is it now? Dad? Mom? I almost laughed at the predictable turn of events. However, I held back and spoke into the phone. Mother, perfect timing. Thank you for letting us know, Sadie. We'll straighten out this foolish son of ours. Thank you very much. I thanked her and ended the call. Both of his parents were former teachers who valued discipline. They were strict not only with themselves but also with others. Stan had always said he was afraid of his parents, but to me, they were kind and wonderful. There was no way they would tolerate Stan's infidelity. A few hours later, Mia received a call from her father, saying they had given Stan a thorough talking to and wanted to arrange a meeting. "We'll go with you." Mia. "Thank you so much." I also contacted my parents and arranged a date for the meeting. My parents cried when they heard my story, and I felt a bit guilty. "Mom, I'm sorry it came to this." "What are you saying?" "Your happiness is the most important thing. Let's cut this bad tie quickly." "Yes, I should. I might do it too." I heard my father frantically trying to calm my mother, on the other end of the phone. I laughed and joined in my mother's playful banter. My parents had an arranged marriage but were very close, envied by those around them. My positive view of arranged marriages came from seeing my parents. The idea of them divorcing was as impossible as the sky falling. "Mom, don't tease Dad too much. See you on the day of the meeting." "You're right, your father is a crybaby. Leave the meeting to us." I could already hear my father on the verge of tears over the phone, and I could picture the endearing scene. I chatted with my mother about everyday things and then ended the call. On the day of the meeting, due to the number of people, I set the location at my house. 8 of us gathered in front of my house: myself, my lawyer, Mia and Keith, her parents, and my parents. We entered the house and were stunned. What is this mess? Wow, it looks like Stan's room from the old days. His parents were also speechless at the sight of the disarrayed house. Stan had always been bad at cleaning, but he was never this incapable. According to Mia, it was because Stan had been hiding his true nature and had dumped all the responsibility on me. Stan was sitting at the table in the living room, staring blankly. When he noticed us, he came toward me, crying and trying to cling to me. When his father stopped him, Stan began to yell, "Sadie, please come back. I can't live without you." Even seeing Stan crying pathetically didn't stir any emotions in me. Realizing I no longer loved him, I looked down at him and laughed. "Why are you laughing? See, it's your fault the place is such a mess. You've been slacking off on the housework and disappearing. I'm no longer responsible for this house's chores since we're divorced." Stan's eyes widened at my words. I realized I hadn't yet told him that I had filed for divorce. I squatted down in front of Stan to tell him the truth. "You told me to clean everything up." "So I did. I cleaned your room and our marriage too. So, that's why all my stuff is gone." Stan looked stunned. I nodded yes, and smiled. Then Stan's face turned red with anger. "Who do you think has been supporting you all this time?" "That would be you. And I am grateful. You repay kindness with betrayal." "Oh, but I paid for it with my housework, didn't I?" With each retort, Stan's anger seemed to reach a boiling point, his veins practically popping. Stan raised his hand to hit me. But instead of me, it was Stan who was struck. "What?" Stan held his aching cheek, bewildered. It was his mother who hit Stan and glared at him, while breathing hard and huffing and puffing. "I thought you were just a little insensitive, but this. What you've done is unforgivable." "Mom." Tears welled up in his mother's eyes as she glared at Stan. Then she turned to me and my parents and got down on her knees. "I deeply apologize for the terrible pain our foolish son has caused you, Sadie. Please get up. You have done nothing wrong." My mother and I hurriedly helped her up. She kept apologizing through her tears. Seeing his mother like this, Stan finally seemed to realize the gravity of his actions. I. Just then, the doorbell rang again. I smiled and went to greet the visitors. "Welcome, thank you for coming. Sorry for being late." "No, your timing is perfect. Please come in, though it's a bit messy." I led the guests to the living room. Stan's eyes widened when he saw them. "Yara." "Stan." The woman called Yara spoke his name awkwardly. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Jude, and this is my wife, Yara. I'm Yara. I apologize for this. Yara started crying mid-sentence. She was exactly as she appeared in the photos with Stan. I smiled at her and prompted her to continue. Let's start with how you two met. It was at a reunion. You were his ex-girlfriend, I see. And it rekindled when you met again. I'm so sorry. I didn't know he was married. At Yara's words, I burst out laughing. Yara looked terrified of me. I decided to explain my laughter. Here, I have a copy of a SNS account I found. This is yours, right? Why do you have that? You even showed your face. Didn't you want to be found out? I pointed to a specific post. It read, I hope his wife sees this, proving that everything Yara had said was a lie. You lied about not knowing he was married? Jude's voice was incredulous. Well, I didn't want to get sued for alimony. Yara protested. Of course, you deserve it. Jude, her husband, glared at Yara. At this point, Tyler spoke up. Let's proceed. We have demanded $40,000 from Yara and $50,000 from Stan. Is that acceptable? I am asking for $30,000 from each of you. Both Stan and Yara shook their heads vigorously. Stan then spoke in a weak voice. Raising a child and paying $150,000. We can't afford that. Yes, it's a time of declining birth rates. You should be kinder to those with children. Yara added, trying to ride on Stan's argument. Jude looked at Yara with cold eyes. Only Tyler and I knew why. You have the nerve to say that, Jude said. What do you mean? Yara tried to keep her secret. Stan's mother then spoke, hitting the nail on the head. The child in the photos isn't Stan's, is it? How do you know that? No, the child is definitely Stan's. Oh really? That's strange. What's strange? His mother chuckled. Yara, not understanding the meaning, urged her to continue with an irritated voice. Stan can't have children. What? He should have known this. What does that mean? It means exactly that. Yara collapsed into a chair. Stan looked shocked, having apparently forgotten. Forgetting something so important about himself was incredibly foolish. His mother had told me before we married that Stan was incapable of having children. She had informed me before I gave my answer after our arranged meeting. Even though fertility treatments could improve the chances, we had decided not to have children. However, Stan got carried away with the affair and forgot all about it. Why didn't you tell me? Yara shrieked. I forgot about it. How could you forget something so important? Yara screamed. Jude interrupted in a calm voice. Anyway, the child isn't Stan's. And for the record, it's not mine either. I was on a long overseas trip, and when I returned, there was suddenly a child. It was terrifying. Everyone in the room shuddered at Jude's revelation. They said that no matter how they calculated the birth of the baby, it did not coincide with the last time Jude returned home. Upon investigation, we discovered the identity of the father, along with another shocking fact. The child's father is a bartender. Additionally, Yara has about $50,000 in debt to that bar. You investigated? That's insane. I could say the same to you. While Yara screamed hysterically, Jude remained calm throughout. Stan watched, mouth agape. Stan probably never imagined that Yara had another affair partner besides himself. As the situation seemed to be spiraling out of control, Mia, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. Both you and that woman are the worst. What do you think of my dear Sadie? I will never forgive either of you. Mia. Stan, who had always been fond of Mia, was at a loss for words at being called the worst. Yara, on the other hand, directed her hostility towards Mia. This has nothing to do with you. Technically, no. But seeing Sadie hurt makes me furious. So what? You'll be cheated on too. Mia was momentarily at a loss for words at Yara's remark. Then Keith smiled and spoke. Do you understand what it means to love someone for 10 years? I spent 10 years courting my wife before we got married. Don't compare my dear wife to a woman who changes her mind and spreads her legs so easily. What? Keith's tone was calm and gentle, but his anger was clear. Yara was taken aback and couldn't respond. In the meantime, Tyler laid out some documents on the table. These were the consent forms for the alimony for me and Jude. Stan, looking lifeless, signed them. You're not going to divorce me, right? Yara asked, desperate. Of course I am. And I'll be filing for the termination of parental rights as well. But the child is yours. What are you talking about? We did a DNA test, remember? With a decisive smile, Yara signed the papers, her face going pale. Whether you two get married afterwards or not is none of my concern. This house will be put on the market next week. Stan. You need to move out by then. Sadie. Wait, Sadie. Ignoring Stan's plea, I left the house I had lived in for so long. Returning to my new home, I celebrated with Mia and Keith, drinking and talking late into the night. Later, I heard from Jude that Stan and Yara had separated. After we left, they had a physical fight. Yara divorced Jude and returned to her parents' house, losing custody of the child and being sent to work in a live-in job. It was a predominantly female workplace, and her affair was well known, so she was shunned. While I felt a bit sorry for her, I was grateful she continued working, as she was paying me alimony monthly. Jude, although a bit down, quickly remarried due to his high qualifications. His new wife accompanied him on his overseas trips, and I only told him, I wished you well, but we haven't kept in touch since then. Stan was not only disowned by his parents, he was also discharged from public service. The reason was simple, he had been having an affair during work hours. After the child was born, he claimed to be working from home but spent most days at Yara's house, not doing any work. I was speechless at his foolishness. Having never worked outside of his civil servant job since graduating college, Stan couldn't hold down any other job and now works nights doing construction. How do I know? Because Tyler, my lawyer, occasionally gets tearful calls from him. While Yara agreed to pay alimony in installments, knowing Stan would be disowned, we made him pay in a lump sum. Stan, naive as he was, took out a dubious loan, and his repayment amount kept increasing. He even tried asking Tyler to return the alimony so he could pay in installments later, but Tyler refused, leaving Stan working day and night to pay off his debts. Stan's parents have started living with Mia and Keith. Apparently, it was Keith's idea, and his parents were delighted. They bought a house and now live close to me, in a multi-generational setup. I often join them for dinner or go out with Mia, maintaining a great relationship. Initially, his parents felt guilty towards me, but I reassured them that they were not at fault. Now, we have an even closer relationship than before. His mother and I share a love for coffee and often go out for lunch together. Recently, it's become a daily occurrence for Mia and her mother to vie for my attention out of jealousy. By the way, I recently got remarried. My partner is Tyler, the lawyer. After our business concluded, we kept in touch, and Tyler eventually asked me out. I didn't mind, so I agreed. We registered our marriage a month ago on our 3rd anniversary. In fact, I found out I am pregnant, and I am expecting my first child next year. Interestingly, Mia is also pregnant, and I look forward to being mom friends with her. Did you find it? A boy. How about you, Mia? I'm having a girl. Maybe they'll get married someday. Who knows? After our checkups, Mia and I chatted as we walked home from the clinic. At home, our anxious husbands were waiting. Mia and I exchanged amused glances and laughed at their nervousness. Surrounded by a caring husband and a trustworthy friend, I felt very happy. Oh, it moved. Really? Let me feel. It's not moving. Hee. Hey, what are you laughing at? Oh, nothing. I hope these peaceful days continue forever. With just 3 months until the birth, I am excitedly looking forward to meeting my child.